Welcome back to Hardball. Chances are, if you've been to a movie in the past 20 years, it was the work of James Cameron, just to name a few. The Terminator, The Abyss, True Lies, Titanic, and now Avatar. Avatar is now the highest grossing movie of all time, earning more than $2.7 billion worldwide, and it's now out in DVD and Blu-ray, where it's also just come out and also broken all the world's records. James Cameron's concern about protecting the environment, which was such a big part of that movie, is evidence in that film, and it's also echoed in his life. Yesterday, he spoke at the Earth Day rally here in Washington on the National Mall, and I managed to catch up with him and hook him for the show. James Cameron.
Reporting for duty, sir.
No, I think what struck me about Avatar, which everybody who's watched this probably saw, was that there is a stake at some point. The piggishness on this planet, the use of our resources, just gets to the point where you got to go out and get something else and go out and colonize some other world. Now, maybe it's imagined in your movie, but your feelings about that reality.
It's a fantasy. I mean, the film's a fantasy, but it's about a very real reality, which is our relationship with nature and how we have this kind of attitude of entitlement that we can take what we need. Historically, in the colonial period, in North and South America, we took what we needed, you know, or we took Australia, or we took what we needed from Africa. Speaking kind of as the way the European community just kind of spread out. And we've never really backed off that model. We take the resources we need, we take everything, we don't give enough back. And we're crossing over a threshold where the earth is not going to be able to sustain us.
Why do you think business fights concerns about climate, about energy depletion, about the need to find renewables? Why do they fight it? These people from the oil patch, from Oklahoma especially, constantly carping and denying. People like Glenn Beck making a living by not telling the truth.
If you make your living in oil, and the answer is a different answer, a different solution in renewable energy like wind or solar or something like that, you're going to deny that answer exists. Or more probably, you're going to deny that the problem exists. And that's what these kind of professional deniers and skeptics are doing. They're swaying the public dialogue away from this major crisis that's looming.
Well, the first person I ever heard who I think has an IQ like Glenn Beck, and he's obviously smart enough, I heard him on radio a couple of years just denying that there's climate. What do you make of that? Just saying it's not true.
Well, you know, look, I think that people are people are just in denial in general. You know, and the public are in denial, and it's getting worse. And a recession economy makes that denial worse. 2 years ago, according to polls, 50% of people believed in climate change and it being caused by human activity. Now we're down to 34%. So we've gone from half to a third. We're going the wrong direction. We should be raising awareness and consciousness on this, and really, believing that there's a clear and present danger to our nation, to our children, and we're moving the wrong direction.
What do you make of the decision a couple of days ago to just dump it, just shelve it by people like the Democratic leadership of the Senate? We are going towards an energy combination, climate change bill. Just saying, oh, we'll put it aside. We're going to do something else, immigration.
Yeah, there's always going to be something. It's going to be health care. It's going to be immigration. It's going to be financial reform. There's always going to be something right in front of us that's more important. But in reality, if we don't solve this problem, all of that stuff isn't going to make any difference. Health care is not going to help us in a fundamentally unhealthy planet. Financial reform is not going to help us in a planet where we can't afford to live in a healthy way, or even in a non-chaotic way.
I got to get to something that's fast. I read that Stephen Hawking, obviously one of the smartest people in history, he was talking about alien life, meaning not aliens like we're fighting about with border fights here in America, but about real aliens over from another planet. Quote, we only have to look at ourselves to see how intelligent life might develop into something we wouldn't want to meet. I imagine they might exist in massive ships, having used up all the resources from their home planet. If aliens ever visit us, I think the outcome would be much as when Christopher Columbus first landed in America, which didn't turn out very well for the Native Americans. What do you make of that horrific notion that aliens coming here, if we ever meet them there, will be like the ones in your movie, avaricious and frightening?
I didn't know Stephen Hawking did science fiction, but I think he's right on the money. The history of the human race has been that any technologically superior nation, when it met a technologically inferior, kind of guns against bows and arrows, they always took over. They took what they needed. It was either genocide, or the population was displaced, or was assimilated in some kind of paternalistic manner. They were, converted to Christianity, or whatever it was. And this has been our history. So why would we expect aliens to be any different?
Well, he puts us with the bow and arrows and the aliens with the machine guns.
That's right. Exactly.
But you in your movie and Avatar at least put us on the side of the advanced weaponry, but we end up losing the war anyway.
We were the bad aliens in Avatar. I was turning it around. You've seen all these movies where the super advanced aliens come to Earth and they try to be like us and
the Orson Welles guys.
Take over. Yeah, well, Avatar was just that story turned around. Our main character is trying to blend in and be one of the aliens on their planet. So it's the same story.
So putting it all together, you have to go. Putting it all together, the idea that this country is leading the world in depletion of resources of the world. We're the most poor sign of any people on the planet. We use up more gas, more everything compared to our numbers. If the world keeps going in this direction, heating up the planet, using up our resources, are we going to end up on those spaceships?
Yeah, it's not just us. It's China, it's India, it's the places where the middle class is exploding. Everybody's sucking up more power. Population's continuing to grow. You know, we're going to have to do something about it. The planet just can't sustain.
Do you have faith in any? I want to let you leave on this. Do you have faith in any political leader who will take the noise and the heat and perhaps the political defeat that will come from a person who really stands up and defends this planet?
Lisa Jackson at the EPA is standing up. You know, she's using the Clean Air Act to actually go after polluters. But the reality is that the leadership in the House and the Senate, it doesn't have a strong public mandate right now because the public isn't aware enough of the problem. They gotta start critically thinking, denying the deniers, doing their own research, not going with the rhetoric, not going with the talk radio, actually learning the issues and believing what the science community is trying to warn us about. And then there will be a public mandate for our leaders to do something. You know, on the Hill, they don't do anything unless we tell them to do it.
I know. I'm worried about the media, though, because now we have a right-wing media available that if you feel like, if you're a business guy, for example, a businesswoman, and you want to have a good excuse, a good dodge not to do anything, well, you listen to someone in the right like Beck, who's willing to come in and say, oh, you don't have to do anything. These guys are a bunch of tree huggers. Forget about it. What do you think of Beck's power in that direction? To give people a big excuse slip not to do anything.
Guys like Beck and the others, and
I think
we all know. I think they're very dangerous to this country, and I think that someday they're going to have to answer to my children and to your children and their children for the world that they're helping to create right now.
Okay, thank you very much, James Cameron. Congratulations. I've never seen anything like this in the movies. I've never seen like it. You're winning all the awards and you're getting everything. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks,
James
Chris.
Cameron.
Pleasure.
The maker of Avatar, which has just broken all the records again in DVD.